someone that can't see or doesn't have the game on TV, wants to see everything, so describe everything. He said, the other thing is, who listens to every single one of your games? And I said, my mom. He said, broadcast to her. He said, don't broadcast to all the hundreds of thousands of people you think are listening, because if you broadcast to your mom, then everybody who's listening to the game will think you're broadcasting to them.
Well, Labor.
That is advice that I couldn't agree with more when you do. Whether it's a disc jockey show, talk show, play-by-play, you really have to imagine one person listening. I really agree with
Sanchez has driven in the only Yankee run, a single left, and the fourth scoring Gleyber Torres.
Good eye.
1-1. Hit short
Rocket.
way and grab there.
Fudge.
Machado goes to short way, and that will do it. No runs to hit, no errors. Yankees leave 2 runners on base. We go to the 7th inning.
GG. Of course, I spilled. Here. How we doing? Man, we got screams all jacked up. What am I doing? Get stab me's open. Popcorn machine. Let's get the banger going. How we doing, chat? Good morning. Good afternoon. Happy Monday. February 15th. Hope you guys are vibing today. Had a good weekend. Open up. Look at some scores from yesterday, maybe. I don't know. What's up, Encore? Hey, where's the chat at? Chat sleeping. Wake up. Yesterday, we had several midday games, an early game, and then the night slate. The night slate was what, 6 games. Had a chalky Kevin Porter Jr. kind of underwhelmed. 5K on DK, 23.5. He actually was not in my main DK lineup, so that worked out well for me. But I did have a little bit of who did I play? I played Daniel Tice. I had a little too much Daniel Tice on FanDuel, and he played a team low 6 minutes. Wasn't in foul trouble or nothing. He just did not play. I don't know if he secretly got injured or what. But that was really annoying because I had so many missed landmines. Like I missed out on a bunch of good fades, or I had a bunch of good fades, and Tice just was not a part. So he was dragging down big lineup. So I was like obscenely underweight on Kevin Porter when it was all said and done. Beast on this slate, on the day slate, Rudy Gobert had a 70 bomb in a losing effort, 24-28. Big game by him. Vucevic against not Adebayo. Had a little bit of scoring help from Terrence Ross. They still scored under 100 points team-wise. That's another team total under. I've been riding that. But Vooch, big part of that game being competitive. And, of course, you could have ran it back there with Jimmy Butler. So, a lot of people that look at some of these slates and you look at these slates and you see these 230, 240 totals. Hey, man, 102-97 is your final score, Miami, Orlando. And two of the top scoring players on that slate were in that game. So not necessarily a must to target just high scoring, high paced games. It pays off if you just attack minutes, volume, usage, all that good stuff. But other than that, like a pretty laid back slate. I didn't really do too much with it. It was kind of a day off. So hopefully you guys vibed out, had a good winning effort if you played. If you took the night off, cool. We're back at it today. Been kind of watching some baseball on the second screen, so I have to close that so you guys get the full attention here. But man, it's fun. It's fun to wake up and watch a little Yankee baseball. You're Danny, living my like and lurk. Yay. What up, Marv? What up, Stefan? Jimmy Buckets is an animal. He is. I mean, he might make a late shakeup to the MVP discussion, right? It's up until this point, been a lot of LeBron and Embiid. Is Jimmy in the mix? Like when he plays, and he's the backbone, heart and soul here, right? What's up, Crispy? Had 330 fantasy points on DK day without the Rudy. Oof. Yeah, it looks like that Warrior stack was pretty lucrative too, right? You must have had Draymond and Curry. What else did we play? I played a lot of the T-Wolves versus Blazers game on the main slate. Anthony Edwards, I had him as a tier 1. Another 226 total, so it didn't hit the 230, but plenty of high scoring names and numbers. If you avoided Cantor, really anyone that was viable from the Blazers was a solid play. Anthony Edwards, Cat, I fell flat. Ended up playing 40 minutes and just 36 fantasy points, but he had like 20 fantasy points in his first 16 minutes. So really fell flat second half. And during his flatness, Anthony Edwards went up. And there was actually a point in that game where Edwards left the game with a feared injury, but he ended up coming back and finishing strong. So nice there. Yankees looking good right now. Yeah, man. Gary Sanchez just gave me a little bit of a scare. I thought that he hurt his hand on I don't know if it was a follow through on the swing from the hitter, but Aaron Boone had to go out there. It looked like he was going to leave the game, but he stayed out there. So I'm excited. I was very worried about the Yankees pitching staff in the offseason. I'm not that worried, and I know Zach Britton's not going to be back till way later, and same with Luis Severino. Like that pitching staff's looking nice. What up, Josh? George killed me. Yeah, Paul George, big time letdown. The Pelicans smoking. The Pelicans' last 3 games have been blowouts, one way or the other, right? And the Clippers, we've seen this so many times this year. It feels like some games they just come out awfully flat. And Kawhi Leonard actually acknowledged that after the game yesterday. He said they're so inconsistent that that can't play in the playoffs. So, yeah, I definitely had a lot of Kawhi, Paul George handcuffs too. And Paul George, Kevin Porter Jr., guys like that were so popular yesterday, and they all just really fell flat. It was a really good day to be contrarian. But with that said, in this blowout, like Lonzo was the only viable pre-flop guy. Not likely that you went after too much Josh Hart, same price as Kevin Porter Jr. And then guys like Kira Lewis, Jackson Hayes, you weren't going to get there. So really kind of a wasted game, right? Big time score though. Didn't like this video yesterday and lost. I didn't run a stream yesterday, Alex. Maybe that's what it was. Had Cantor, PG, and a couple other duds. It was very hard to not get some landmines yesterday. Like I said, if you guys are just jumping in, I had a lot of Daniel Tice on FanDuel, and he played 6 minutes as the starting guy. It was rough. Core was Curry, Dre, SGA, Joe Val, and Pokey Chef. Who's Pokey Chef? Oh, the small forward from Oklahoma. Okay. Pakusevsky, whatever, the 7-foot small forward. What's up, Sleepy Joe? Sanchez will come around. Not keen on Britton. He was better as an Oriole. And Britton was fine last year. He's fine. I mean, obviously, this Oriole season is going to be, that's the peak. You're not going to get back to that, but he's fine. Also, Aroldis Chapman's added a splitter, and that sucker is dirty. It is dirty, dirty, dirty. And Lowry with the ejection. That ejection was kind of late, wasn't it? Lowry played 37 minutes before he got ejected, so we can't really blame that. But, yeah, the ejection didn't help. The Raptors also came out flat there. They were getting spanked. Yeah, kind of a rough Sunday night all the way around. Let me see. I guess I'm solo today. No Raj. Let me tag him just to be safe. You stream. Boom. Man, baseball's in 2 weeks, guys. I am so excited. I love baseball. What are we looking like today? Today, pretty solid 6-gamer. If we're peeking ahead at some game totals, we got 242 total in the Wizards game. We got 239 total in the Charlotte game. It drops to 213, 223, 227. So the first 2 games we're going to really chop up have extremely high totals. It's going to make us want to gravitate towards that game. But like I said, yesterday's slate, the 2 highest scorers, 60-plus fantasy points, Vooch and Jimmy Butler. That game hit under 110, I believe. So don't get too blinded by these totals. Martin outscored him in my lineups. Martin. Chappie has split. That's the best news I heard. Yeah, it's dirty. It's dirty. I quote tweeted it the other day, and they in spring training they do the manager interviews a lot more during the game. They were actually talking to Aaron Boone while Chappie dropped the splitter. And Boone is just like, that's disgusting. It's just like so dirty. But that's good. Chappie needed some more depth. He can't just rely on 102 anymore because everyone's throwing 102. Any response from Raj? No? All right, cool. We're reviving. Chat, a couple promotions that we're running. Anyone who gets a week pass this week will be entered in a drawing. Or really any pass, but you can get as minimum of a week pass will be entered in a drawing to win one of the 10-month passes that we are giving away within the next 2 weeks. So if you guys wanted to test out the week, you could be lucky enough to convert that into a full month. If you guys have not tried PrizePicks yet, we are also doing a promotion there. If you guys sign up for PrizePicks using code GUNDACKER, and play, test it out, not only will you get an instant deposit bonus up to $100, but you'll also be entered in a drawing to win a month pass. So we might actually do a couple month passes for people that divvy that or try that. So if you've never tried PrizePicks and you're in a state that's eligible to try it, $10 will get you some action on a game. It'll become $20 if you use code GUNDACKER, and then of course you'll be added to the pool of people to be entered in the drawing to win a month pass. And if a lot of you guys do that, I'll gladly give away like 1 month pass per like 10 people that try it. So a couple of the ways we're getting a little fun giving back. Again, these month passes sponsored by Russell Miller. He hit for 140K 2 weeks ago and was just giving back to the community. Matter of fact, he's giving it back so much that he made a tweet to give away jerseys, and it was one of those random giveaways, people that replied, and then he just said YOLO, everyone that replied gets a jersey. It's just insane. It's actually extremely generous, so shout out to Russ. But try that out. We'll talk more about that as we get through the stream. What's up, Darn? Got the All-Star deal. VIP's been worth every cent. Darn, was it you that sent me that screenshot on Twitter? There was either a Darn or a Darren but I didn't want to put their business out there. Let me double check. It was a Darren that sent me a crazy fat screenshot from the other night. But I don't like if people DM me screenshots. I don't want to I don't want to put their business out there. I don't know who's out there lurking, but without their permission. So, but let's just say somebody turned $20 into 10+K, and I love seeing those. Like it's one thing to turn like 5K into 8K or something, but man, when you drop in under a Benjamin and coming back with down payments on big boy stuff. Yeah, was that you, Darn? Okay, I'm getting 100K. Let's go, Encore. What's up, EB? How we doing, fellas? All right, let's see Raj. So we just gonna leave the station without him, and let's start talking about today's slate. Easy does it. Game numero uno. The Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Washington Wizards. Project starting 5 for the Bucks. Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez taking on Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Garrison Matthews, Rui Hachimura, and Alex Len. We got 242 total and an 8.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Milwaukee Bucks. This is actually a back-to-back same city, same teams, kinda, where the Bucks played against the Wizards on Saturday. And in that game, Bradley Beal was out, and the Wizards were on night 2 of a back-to-back. So a lot of rest, really, for a road team like the Bucks to hang out and think about how competitive that last game was. And to the Wizards' credit, without Bradley Beal, and I think Davis Bertans was down as well, Russell Westbrook and the boys really kept that game competitive. It was just a 6-point finale. We're running it back here. We're going to have 2 of the fastest-paced teams in all of basketball go at it. So we will have plenty of possessions to soak up fantasy points. Washington, the fastest. Milwaukee, top 5. Definitely a game that you want to have access to. You don't want none of this game, but the options that are most likely to give you the highest upside are pretty doggone expensive. Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the first 3 names that hit the list. Past those guys, we might be talking about some Chris Middleton, 7'4", 8'1". We're looking for 40+ fantasy point upside at that price point. And then Drew Holiday, off of his minutes cap, looks like he's fully stretched out. I think his range of outcome to be a solid fantasy play is a little bit more volatile than Middleton and Giannis, but 30+ minutes in this matchup definitely can net 5, 6 to 7x on an average range of outcome should this game stay competitive. Now, should the Bucks, off a little bit of rest here, bounce back and play Bucks basketball, it definitely has some blowout potential. But for the most part, I can't not grab some of these names and numbers based on this total, based on the pace. It's hitting all the check boxes. Russell Westbrook, 10.2K on FanDuel, 10.5 on DraftKings. Kind of a raw points play at this point. If you give me 50+ on this slate, I'll probably vibe with it. And then Bradley Beal, if Davis Bertans is going to be unable to go, I think Bradley Beal picks up a load of scoring. I mean, he could score 30+% of the team's real points today. Yeah, Bertans went down in that Philly game. So, I think it's Bertans and it's Beal and Westbrook in terms of picking up the scoring, and then past that, it's going to be a group effort. But we could see some elevated contributions from a guy like Danny Adia if Bertans can't go, and Rui Hachimura, I think in that last game picked up a little bit more slack. However, Westbrook was out there with nobody. Hachimura had 29 real points, season high by a mile. Could he curtain call that? Did he find a groove? Maybe. Shot 61%. I'm not running to play him with Bill back. We know he's very volatile, but he is a name to at least consider. If there's no Bertans, then we expect big minutes from him. So Westbrook, Beal, maybe some Hachi and Avia. If Bertans is able to go, see what the update on him is. It's questionable with a calf. If he is able to go without an implied restriction, mid 20 minutes for him. He is a 3-point specialist. Definitely a guy that profiles as fitting the archetype of player that would succeed against the Bucks. That being a guy with a little bit of length and that can shoot some threes. The Bucks give up a top 3-4 amount of points via the 3-ball per game. So that's how the Wizards would have to compete. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11K. He's just been Mr. 60-plus fantasy points. No reason to not project him to really be kind of the slate leading scorer. I think my soft projections would agree with that soft statement. If I sort it by DraftKings points projected, no, Giannis is second to Harden at the moment. But I got Harden for a lot more minutes, or 5 more minutes than Harden. So, chat, what are you guys doing with this one? Before we move on. Tall says, I think I only like Portis from this game. Bobby Portis. I like Bobby Portis that last game, just really assuming a blowout, and it did not blow out. I do think the Bucks can kind of correct here, but nonetheless, Bobby Portis is in the rotation, kind of the 6-man role for the Bucks. So 20 minutes of him in this pace in this matchup definitely can net, mid-20s to 30-plus fantasy points. Took 12 shot attempts in just 22 minutes last game. I'm 100% A-okay with going after some Portis here, and I love his FanDuel price at 4K. I mean, that is right there with in terms of extreme value. We'll talk about Karis LeVert, but it's right there with LeVert as guys that I really love that I think are underpriced for the matchup today. So I like that. Drew the Nuts. I could definitely see Drew being super, super strong. Now Rod shows up. Oh, yeah. Let's drag him in here. Here.
Yo.
So the way streams work is what are you doing, man? Where you been?
I mean, I thought 3:30.
Why would you think you're doing?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes numbers have been a little up and down. I don't know if it's 3 o'clock today, 3:30, 3:15.
It's Monday, bro. You're late.
Where we at? Milwaukee, Washington?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, that's the game that I was on last time. And Gunn's like, oh, it's going to be a blowout. Westbrook not to play in a blowout. And all that took me off of that Westbrook and Giannis nut stack. What are you going to do? It happens. But go right back to Giannis here. Great spot. Pace-up matchup. I mean, with Bradley Beal back, should be even more of a high-scoring game, I'd assume. So 11K is probably going to be the highest score of the night. Give me Giannis. Drew Holiday at 6,500 is awfully cheap in this matchup, this pace.
Yeah.
Got 38 last time. Could be 40-plus here. And on Washington side, I mean, it's a Bradley Beal spot, right? Threes launching, 9-4 on DK. Price is right. He's going to launch threes.
Yeah. If the Wizards stay close in this one, right, Beal's got to have 30, 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say he plays the Rui role and just takes those shots away from Rui.
I'm sorry, what? The Rui role? Bradley Beal's going to play the Rui role? Is that what you just said?
From last game.
Okay,
the Rui
buddy.
role from last game. When Rui went off, it's a Bradley Beal spot. So, I mean, Westbrook, another triple-double spot for him. Do I expect another 80 bomb? Probably not. But, 60-plus is another question. Westbrook, Beal, I'm not chasing Rui. Just those guys for me.
Yeah. All right. Alex Len drew the start last game. I feel like that's not a guarantee to be the case today. Might see Mo Wagner back in the mix as a starter. It doesn't necessarily matter who starts. It's kind of a spin the wheel, make the deal between him, Robin Lopez, and Alex Len. But just kind of throwing that out there. Let's move on to the next game here. A game that's a little bit more fiscally viable to stack than the Bucks and Washington, right? For as juicy as Bucks and Washington team total and paces, like, it's hard to get a Westbrook, Giannis, Beal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just full stack. This game's a little bit more stackable. Sacramento Kings at the Charlotte Hornets. Project starting 5 for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, Rashawn Holmes taking on LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, and Cody Zeller. We got 239.5 total. Home team, Charlotte Hornets favored by 3.5. Lots of minutes, lots of bad defense, and lots of guys that are under 7K on both sides. The Kings, De'Aaron Fox kind of leads the pack here of guys that of minutes and projection. So he's a strong discussion, but past him, I think you can make easy cases for Hield, Barnes, Bagley, and Rashawn Holmes. I probably have Barnes and Holmes 2, 3, and then Hield is just kind of that fringe third because if he's a little bit more volatile. But let's talk about De'Aaron Fox for a second. 9K on FanDuel, 9,100 on DraftKings. He is essentially Bradley Beal price. A little cheaper than Bradley Beal. How often does De'Aaron Fox outscore Bradley Beal? And it's not 20%. It's above 0 is what I'm getting at. And this game, I feel like the blowout factor in this game is a lot lower than the Bucks game. So Fox is a very interesting name for me to track today because I'm curious to see where his ownership ends up. On the Charlotte Hornets side, the Sacramento Kings are just a team that reward stacks after stack after stack. They are the league worst defense, 119.3 points per 100 possessions. So LaMelo Ball at sub 9K definitely has a chip in a chair for 45, 50 fantasy points. Gordon Hayward at 7'4", 7'3". You see 45, 50 there in a ceiling a game, and it's a super plus matchup. And then even PJ Washington's in the conversation. And Rozier and Devontae Graham, much more volatile. They both make sense, but obviously a lot more volatile. What are you doing with this game? I think we could get away with a 3v3 stack. I don't know if that's commonly the nuts, but I think I can get away with it and not hate the lineup.
Yeah, so I'm thinking if I'm going to rank the Sacramento guys, we're going Fox 1. I think I like Rashawn Holmes 2 at that center spot. At his price, I think definitely has some upside there. So give me him 2, Harrison Barnes 3, and then Buddy Hield and Bagley 4 and 5. So I think the 3 I'd focus on the Sacramento side, Fox, Barnes, and Holmes. And the Charlotte side, you got LaMelo. Devontae Graham is still on the minutes limit, and that's intriguing at his price. That's the type of guy who could win you a tournament in this spot. But LaMelo first, then, Terry Rozier and Gordon. I'm probably leading Gordon Hayward, but I can easily see Terry Rozier be the guy who leads his team in scoring. Playing a lot of up-paced matchup, Terry Rozier is the chucker.
So Melo's chilling at 8.5, 8.7 on DK. Last 5 point guards against Sacramento for DraftKings scoring. Trae Young, 45. Victor Oladipo, 42. Damian Lillard, 61. Dennis Schroeder, 46. And LaMelo Ball, 49.5 DKP. Definitely a super plus spot. Yes, we could say his minutes are going to take back a little bit, right? Maybe not 39 minutes because of Devontae Graham being in the mix. But LaMelo could be easily forgotten about. And just like I said, all season long, we've been seeing team after team, slate after slate, just go off against the Sacramento Kings. And I think LaMelo, if we look back tonight, LaMelo has a triple-double, and he's under 20%. I don't know that he will be. I'm just saying, like, is he already, from the point guards we talked about so far, the Westbrook, the Beal, Fox even, is LaMelo above any of those pre-flop in terms of ownership? I think there's a case that he's okay.
I don't think I put him above him.
So the point there being is at the end of the night he could be right. He could be above him. So I like that. I like Gordon Hayward also. Hayward seems like when I love him, he's average, and then when I just like, all right, I'll go without him today, he drops 50.
He goes up 100%.
In his he did not play that last game against Sacramento, but his game log tells the story of Gordon Hayward for fantasy. I mean, we see as low as 22, as high as 50 plus. In this particular matchup, we like everyone against the Sacramento Kings. So I'm going to have a little bit of Hayward. Because of the total being almost at 240, I'll probably start him at, it's got to be tier 2? His inconsistency makes me want to do a 3, but I'll probably start him as a tier 2 and move from there. But like I said, Rashawn Holmes in a great spot. everyone on both sides in great spots. Buddy Hield is a chucker. The Charlotte Hornets do allow, I do believe, a top 3 amount of points via the 3-ball. Third most points via the 3-ball in basketball. Buddy Hield will definitely chuck somewhat inefficiently, but 11, 13, 12, 11, like double-digit three-point attempts. In the last game against Charlotte, he dropped 46 fantasy points on 30 real points. So I'd probably start him as a 2 as well. And I think there's just really no way to go wrong pre-flop process-wise on this game. It's just a matter of do the results get there and how much is too much. Let's get caught up on chat here, see what you guys are thinking. Shadow Stefan says, what do you think of LaMelo over 6.5 assists? I would say if 6.5 is his average on the season, which it is, I'd bet on him meeting or exceeding his average against the worst defense in the league. So just based on that lazy analysis, I'd probably take that. I could see what my projections say on LaMelo. I got LaMelo at 7.2 assists. So yeah, I'd probably put a unit on that. PJ Washington dropped 42 last game versus Kings. His points is at 13.5 now. So we said Hayward was out that game. That might have been a boost, but nonetheless, it's just the Kings defense. So if his prop line is 13.5. Let me see, PJ Washington. PJ is one of those periods in his name. I got PJ at 13.4. That's gonna be a little bit more fringy. I probably just wouldn't bet that. I could definitely see just spraying some units individually on overs for everyone in this game, or at least from the Hornet side, just based on the matchup. Definitely a LaMelo night with the Wizards game being a blowout. I could see that, Rich. I think it's very easy to say, oh, the Wizards kept it close without Beal. They got to keep it close with Beal, and then it just falls flat. Like, I could see that happening. So I don't mind that, but I also feel like that game doesn't trend too high because of the prices. Like, it's going to cost you $30K just to get the 3 best players in that game. It's not going to quite do that in this one. Drew Holiday, I think, would be the guy to really meditate on based on his price. Zeller was out last game, so PJ played the center. Yeah, and PJ does a lot better as a big. And then, like I said, there was no Gordon Hayward. So, kind of a simple game to break down. We like a lot about it. Terry Rozier, man. Any Terry Rozier, scary Terry for you?
I mean, I think I want to have some. Again, in pace-up matchups, high-scoring games, Terry Rozier is the guy who's going to lead this team in shots and scoring. So 30 real-life points, picks up peripherals. He can be the guy to win your tournament. So I'm going to be pretty high on Terry. I think he might be based on price, maybe Terry Rozier even over LaMelo points per dollar. I think it's a lot closer than people think.
I just don't like playing Terry Rozier because it's
not a comfortable click. It's not a comfortable click at all.
He had 17 fantasy points against them last game. Took just 9 shot attempts.
Incoming 50.
No, I will concede that that's a range outcome, but man,
yeah.
You just said more Rozier than Melo. There's no shot that I could get behind that one. Not a chance. Just not a chance. It's not a chance. Can't do it. Not gonna be able to do it. It's LaMelo easily won for me on the Hornet side, and then on the King side, I think I could. There's not one starter I would not have access to today on the King side, so I'm a little bit higher on Kings just points per dollar wise, and very very high predictive value in minutes projected. We still got Halliburton on a leash. He had been about 7K. So I didn't have to consider him. On DraftKings today, he's at 5,800. I do think there's a world where if I gave him 25 minutes at 5,800, he could stun some people. But I still don't have to make it a priority unless we find that the restriction's done and maybe there's a world where he plays 30, right? I think Rozier sucks tonight and Graham outscores him even with minutes limit. I mean, those are bold statements for both those guys. If Devontae is a little bit cheaper, I don't feel like so far that I need access to a scoring dependent punt just yet. On both sides, especially on FanDuel, we're gonna have Karis LeVert and Bobby Portis, and I think so far those are two really, really strong value plays. So I probably don't have to get too ambitious with Devontae, even though I love me some Devontae. But yeah, let's move on to the next game here. Detroit Pistons hosting the San Antonio Spurs. So we go from a pair of 240 totals to a 213 total with a 2-point spread. So a lot less implied real points. However, still plenty of concentrated usage. The projected starting five for the Spurs: Dejounte Murray, Derek White, Keldon Johnson, Trey Lyles, Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? Taking on DeLon Wright, Josh Jackson, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee. We have got LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan listed as out. And then on the Pistons side, we got Ham Diallo still out. Part of the trade for Svi Mykhailiuk, if you missed out trade during the end of last week. Okafor still out. Killian Hayes, Dennis Smith Jr. out. So what I do have is deep minutes for guys like DeLon Wright, at least pre-flop, in case he could change things up. DeLon Wright, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, all projected about 30-plus minutes. And then Rodney McGruder is the guy I got next man upping during this little bridge between Svi to Ham Diallo, while a couple of other guards. Remember, they also traded Derrick Rose, and now they don't have Dennis Smith, guys like that. So is Rodney McGruder somebody we can trust for minutes? And if he is definitely somebody that goes out there and stuffs the stat sheet. We've seen this in a few cases this season and plenty of cases in years past. 28 minutes against the Brooklyn Nets, 27 DKP. I'd take that at 3,400. And then really, if you just look throughout the season, there's not a whole lot of inefficiency per minute. And maybe this is stat musable. Rodney McGruder, DKP by game log with 20 minutes last. Let's put 150 games and just kind of see what pops up, if anything. So 27, 28, 37, 29. There's definitely there's some worry spots, but I think Rodney McGruder might be one of my higher owned value punts. Just kind of a low risk, high reward play. Again, the pace in this game, the total in this game is not going to be anything that I want to run after, but I do think he can get me there at mint price on FanDuel, 3,400 on DraftKings. DeLon Wright, Josh Jackson, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, all justifiable. I think I would probably set some correlations on my optimizer. I don't really want to see myself having more than two of these guys in the same lineup, so I'd probably set that rule. And on the Spurs side, Dejounte Murray, AK77, he definitely has 40, 50 fantasy point potential in this matchup, especially without DeRozan and Aldridge. He has sustained the team high usage rate. But past him, it gets a little trickier, don't it? We get some Derek Whites that was pretty trendy in that last Spurs slate. Trey Lyles tends to always kind of be a trendy play, but just hasn't got there this season. And then Jakob Poeltl, I think, is a little bit more intriguing to me at 6K. I'm looking for 30 fantasy points. Is there any Spurs specifically that you think you're going to be 10 to 20, 30% on in your own exposures?
I mean, the Spurs are a team that I'm just not going to get to a lot of today. It's DeRozan coming back, funeral game. I think that's a narrative.
Hold on, is he back?
No, he's out. Never mind, he's out. Okay, I thought in the morning they said he was going to play, but he's not. He's out. So with DeRozan out, Keldon Johnson's still in that mid-20s kind of minutes limit. It hasn't looked the same since coming back from his bout with COVID. Dejounte Murray, 7,700 is a guy I think I want to play, but he's just looked really, really bad fantasy-wise lately. 24-36, 24-34 past 4 games. It is his best matchup in a while, but I do think Derek White, Patty Mills are taking away a little from it. Derek White is interesting, coming off for 40 bombs, got 4 blocks, 2 steals. Don't know if I see that again, but it is the Pistons, 5,200. He's going to chuck here. I think Derek White might be my highest owned Spur here, is what it's looking like. Other than that, Not really loving any Spurs.
I ran an on-off court tool query via Fantasy Labs. 87 minutes of sample size with Dejounte Murray, Derek White on, and DeRozan Aldridge off. And White actually leads in usage at 27%, about a fantasy point per minute, where Dejounte 0.7. Now, under 100-minute sample size, definitely not a whole lot to bet on, right? Like, that's not a deep sample size. But, yeah, Derek White has trended that way so far. If I try to elongate on that a little bit to last year, we get just 10 minutes of sample size, so really not even worth doubling down on. But I'm kind of with you on the Derek White thing. But Derek White, like I said, he wasn't low owned last slate.
No, he was a lot. He was pretty chalky. I was surprised. I thought I got him low owned, but clearly was not.
Yeah, 25 minutes, 40 fantasy points. So
Like
I definitely think like 30 plus is the magic number here. But he's given us a pair of 40s in the last 4 games. And this is a matchup that I think is solid enough. So I'd be okay with that. But Dejounte Murray, man, I just don't want to miss out on a 45. But at his price point, I mean, upper echelon guard today is pretty strong pre-flop. A lot of potential upside, and it's just hard to put AK onto a guard, a point guard in the 213 total when we got a pair of 240s with high usage guards. So I'm probably.
I think I'd probably play Jeremy Grant over him at the same price. I know it's different positions, but I think I'd probably play Jeremy Grant
against the elite Jakob Poeltl defense, maybe.
Yeah, give me all the Grant there, that spot. On Detroit side, they're all priced okay. Like Plumlee at 6'1" is fine. Get Grant at 7'5", Josh Jackson 5'4". They all seem to be priced appropriately for the upside they give. I'm just not running to play them. You mentioned Magruder as a value play. Sure, I don't know if that 20 minutes we'll see again. I get it with no speed. McCulloch there now. Maybe he does see 20 plus. 3K guy, 3,400. If he doesn't hurt you, that's fine. But again, I don't think he's like a core value. Gonna wait for some news if anything breaks up. DeLon Wright at 5'6". He could see 30 minutes. I think he has upside. So all these Pistons are priced appropriately, and they can all kind of get you 6x their price. It's just which ones.
Right, yeah. It's not going to be a collective effort.
Yeah.
The Spurs are on night 2 of a back-to-back. So Popovich might have a weird, some weird rotation here. Josh says doesn't think Derek White has played back-to-backs yet. That might be something to watch, Josh. I definitely don't see it in this game log here. I didn't really think about him being on that type of restriction, but I guess that makes a lot of sense. So I guess we'll keep an eye on that. If Derek White is kind of like a late rest guy, I guess that would drive up ownership on like a Lonnie Walker and probably drive up usage and confidence on Dejounte Murray. So I wouldn't mind looking at that. Derek White is a rest candidate according to Fantasy Lab, so kind of something to keep an eye on there. If you knew right now Derek White's out, what do you do with that?
Derek White's out. I'm probably going all the Patty Mills.
Okay.
That price tag, yeah.
Dejounte Murray 50 bomb if there's no White.
Possible, definitely possible.
Let me take White off the court here, just kind of see what happens. Good call, Josh. So Dejounte Murray's usage goes to 27% in 246 minutes of sample size. So plenty of sample size on that. And very attackable usage rate. Patty Mills also averaging over a fantasy point per minute, as is Rudy Gay. That scares me. I guess hopefully Popovich and the Spurs will have some information for us at a good time. This game being an hour after lock, though, a little bit scary. Thank you, Josh. That's a really good reminder. Keldon Johnson looked good. Derek White, Giannis are quickly LBJ. Easily the first if White did play, but it looks like we have a reason to be concerned about that. Plumlee looking all right for his price value on DraftKings. Let me get some recent numbers here. Jakob Poeltl had been trending as statistically one of the better defenders in the league. And there was actually like metrics to back this up. So I don't know if I'm squeezing all of the potential ceiling out of Plumlee if there's a lot of 1v1 there. But per minute for his price point, Mason Plumlee's definitely been very serviceable, and he's shown us a lot of upside this season. What about Zeller? If Zeller got ample minutes in that matchup, definitely should thrive. Let's move on to the next game here. Kind of keep an eye on that. Let me read. Usually I start the stream off reading off all these Fantasy Labs 3 p.m. stuff. Okay. Let's move on to the next game here. Knicks at the Brooklyn Nets. Project starting five for the Knicks. Frank Ntilikina, Reggie Bullock, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel. Taking on James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, and DeAndre Jordan. We got 223 total and 8.5-point spread in favor of the home team, Brooklyn Nets. Knicks are on a night. Are they on a back-to-back here? Knicks are. No, Knicks. Julius Randle just had a monster game on. I think it was Saturday. Let me double check. No, it was Saturday. He played 39 minutes against OKC, dropped 67 fantasy points with a 26-point triple-double. So going here against the Brooklyn Nets on a little bit of rest, trying to curtain call that performance at 9.298. I love the thought of him. I'm very, very curious to see where he falls in terms of ownership because of some of the other 9K plus viable point guards even on this slate. But he's definitely a name that jumps at me first and foremost. With Elfrid Payton being questionable and Derrick Rose being down, and Emmanuel quickly being questionable, it could create an opportunity for Frank Ntilikina to play more minutes than you typically expect him to, and then also Alec Burks could next man up.
That quickly is probable.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I just read that quickly? All right. And if Peyton doesn't play, I could see a little bit more facilitation for Julius Randle. Maybe curtain call his triple-double. At 98, I really need 50-plus fantasy points. So I feel like it's a little stronger of a risk, but the minutes have been there for Randle all year. And this is one of the marquee matchups, right? New York does allow some limited fans in the stadium, or Brooklyn does. So you'll have some fans there to watch this little battle of the boroughs go down, and I think that'll be fun. And it's just also, Knicks fans are believing. The Knicks team has put up some surprising numbers in the standings. So Julius Randle, where are you going to be at on Randle?
Oh, he's probably going to be. This is my favorite stack of the night is the New York Knicks against Brooklyn. Quickly, R.J. Barrett and Randle, with Derrick Rose out, Elfrid Payton most likely out. I think those three guys, the usage is going to be there, scoring is going to be there. Brooklyn's not playing a ton of defense. Julius Randle's going to be a tier 1 guy for me. I think, right up there with Giannis. He's going to be a tier 1 for me, 9.8, 9.2. Like the price tag on both sites. Give me all three of those Knicks. Maybe I might tier 1 all three of those Knicks.
Whew.
The prices are nice. The usage is there.
I don't disagree with the matchup or anything, but it's just the sentence tier 3 Knicks, or tier 1 3 Knicks is just so wild to me. On the net side, I actually have James Harden outscoring Giannis by a couple of points just based on the minute projection I have for him. I have him at 38 minutes and I had Giannis at like 32 and maybe some change. So I think Harden is a fun run back there. I guess if you're going to run 3 Knicks, you probably do want to run it back with somebody. And Harden, Kyrie, probably the only 2 guys that I would put any type of confidence on. The New York Knicks are a decent defense, right? At last look, they were one of the best teams in terms of defensive rating, top 4. Maybe they slow down the supplementary players on the Nets here. This is kind of a lower total for a Nets game, but it's an 8.5-point spread, which does leave a little bit of wiggle room for the Knicks to come out and disappoint. Other than okay, so Kyrie versus the other 9K guards tonight. Fox, LaMelo to an extent, Bradley Beal, Westbrook's at 10K. Kyrie might have a shot at falling through the cracks here. Is 50 plus fantasy points getting slept on? I got him at 47 and a quarter. Do you have an affliction for some Kyrie?
I mean, I definitely think he's going to get overlooked. Definitely not my favorite out of those guys. He's probably the bottom. I just think his upside's a little more limited than those guys. I think Fox, Beal, even LaMelo kind of have that 60-point upside in their matchups, in their pace, the way their teams break down. While Kyrie, I think with Knicks playing at a slower pace, maybe a 50 is his ceiling kind of game. So I think he's a fine play. Again, if I'm playing all those Knicks, I think obviously it's going to be a competitive game. Kyrie can get you that 50, which is fine. But again, he's probably in the bottom of the total pool out of those 9K guards for me, simply based on upside.
From a fantasy perspective, the position that has done the most damage against the Knicks has been the shooting guard spot as of late. So he might really, really benefit. And Frank Ntilikina is a defensive upgrade from Elfrid Payton, but definitely an offensive downgrade. It's one thing to be an offensive downgrade from Payton.
Yeah.
But I don't have deep minutes on Ntilikina. I think Burks and Quickly, if you game script this game for the Knicks, who are 8-point dogs, if you game script this for them to need offense, you're going to probably see a lot more Burks and Quickly than Ntilikina. So that's where I'm at on that.
But RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett is...
I like his price. The minutes.
He's coming off a strong game. He's consistently inconsistent, but 30 plus fantasy points, I guess, more than not in the last 10. But I'm not like excited at 30. Like I'm at 6'2".
Oh yeah, you want a 40 buck. You definitely want a 40 plus, which is possible in this matchup, this pace, running up down the court, pick up a few extra steals and blocks.
He played 38 minutes against Brooklyn earlier this season, dropped 31, 15
Down
shot
game.
attempts. I mean, like I get the play, I just can't see you said tier 1. I can't see myself. Tier 1 is just like ultra confidence, can't fail, and I just don't feel that strongly about.
I feel like he's not playing with
Barrett.
all these guys out.
It doesn't matter though. He's still getting deep minutes. Randall's the only Nick that I could put confidence on from day to day. RJ Barrett just 38 minutes against the Nets, bro. Come on. I don't think he's a bad play pre-flop, like matchup and minutes wise. I just think the results, like, he's very inconsistent.
Kevin Durant played that game. I think he might have saw some Kevin Durant defense.
Stop trying to make excuses.
I'm just saying. With no KD. It's a different team.
I could literally point out games where Barrett was in a smash matchup. And
Oh no, of course, yeah. He definitely has that downside. I mean, I just love this Knicks triple stack.
I could not tier 1 a guy like RJ Barrett. I just couldn't. And if we thought like there's going to be some overlap between RJ Barrett and like a Quickly or a Burks, well, what do we need them to do? We need them to score, so they might eat at RJ Barrett's ceiling as well. Also, Reggie Bullock, 3,500 on both sites. I got him at 32 minutes with a couple of these guards out because Derrick Rose, Rivers, Payton. I mean, there's a lot of guard minutes to fill here. Reggie Bullock at min price. You're on every Nick, but you haven't mentioned Reggie Bullock. Could he sneak through, score 15 points, and somehow get you to 25 fantasy points?
I mean, at that price, yeah. I mean, him versus Magruder is an interesting thought for value guys, in the 3K range. He probably in a pool of value guys. Would I core him as a value? No, just kind of shuffle him in there.
Mm-hmm. Same. And then Nerlens Noel, I think, is somebody that I'd be looking at as well. A lot of 30 fantasy point potential in this matchup, but his median range outcome, just like RJ Barrett, a little underwhelming for the price, and we might see this game go a little bit smaller, and Randall play the de facto center, and then the Knicks just have a bunch of guards out there. So might see some weird rotations for the Knicks today. Chat, what are you guys doing with this one before we move on? Daku says Ntilikina is a bum. Tall says I hope Quickly gets around 30 minutes. What's up, Josh Sennings? How we feel about the slate? So far, it's all right. I'm vibing with it. Any DeAndre Jordan, Joe Harris, any of those guys?
Probably not for me. No, I just typically stay away from those extra kind of Brooklyn guys unless either Harden or Kyrie gets ruled out.
Clippers at the Mavericks. Clippers night 2 of a back-to-back. Projection 35 for the Clippers. Reggie Jackson, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nick Batum, Serge Ibaka taking on Luka Doncic, Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, and Kristaps Porzingis. Clippers coming from a blowout loss in New Orleans to Dallas. I don't think we've seen any indication other than Serge Ibaka being questionable. He got injured last night. Ivica Zubac picked up the slack. We haven't seen any indication that Kawhi or Paul George would sit. But doesn't it feel like we just don't trust it? But it would be a great bounce back spot at 8,200 on Paul George and under 9K on Kawhi on DraftKings. Like what a price reduction versus the rest of the field and the rest of the field's projected perspective matchups. Like if PG and Kawhi combine for 100+ fantasy points, we're not stunned. So I want to struggle with that game theory and being a little bit creative with lineups with just that thought. The other thought here is if Serge Ibaka doesn't play, Ivica Zubac's pretty cheap on both sides, 4,400, 4,600. Not a guaranteed locks to smash or play like 30 minutes or anything like that, but he has been a permanent guy, and it's been like that for years. And earlier this season, 29 minutes against Washington, one of the best matchups you can ask for, 30 fantasy points. Essentially what I'm getting at is if I got 25 minutes plus of Zubac at this price point, there's a world where he drops 30 fantasy points. So I would definitely be cognitive of the Ibaka situation because I do think that would move the needle for me on a little bit more Zubac. And then Patrick Beverley is still out for the Clippers here. Reggie Jackson playing deeper minutes. He's 4,600 on FanDuel, which makes him a little bit more valuable, even though that the high-end point guard position is really, really stacked. If you got a little bit more creative and decided to take a 20, 30 fantasy point from a Reggie, wanted to build bottom-up lineup with the Giannis's, the Randalls, guys like that, and you give up a little bit of value or go for a little bit of value at the point guard spot, I think Reggie's somebody to consider. On the Mavs side, Luka Doncic 10-2, 10-6. Definitely a in the shadows night so far, I think, for Luka. We got Giannis, we got Westbrook, we got Harden, all these guys in a little bit more marquee spots, and Luka's just chilling. And so far at home this season, Luka's averaging 58 fantasy points. Last game against Denver on the road, altitude kind of fell flat there, but Luka could be the highest scorer on any slate, and here we are at 10.2 on FanDuel, 10.6. We're getting to some of the lower prices that we've ever seen Luka, and the matchup's not as bad as perceived. Yesterday we saw Lonzo Ball be the highest scorer on the Pelicans here. Is Luka an elite tournament play for your crazy mind?
Luka, he's going to see Kawhi Leonard defense, even though that hasn't bothered him in the past. He's a big game with the Clippers.
I don't think necessarily he would. Like, Kawhi's not going to shadow defense. And
that's right, I hear you. So, he dropped 48 to 25 minutes against him last game. So you give him his 35, 38 minutes. At that price, you know what? Yes, Luka in tournaments is probably elite. Like him, if he outscores a Giannis, a Westbrook, a Harden, and you play him, you're probably looking great. I think his ownership probably comes out less than 20%, maybe like 12, 13%. So Luka might be my favorite tournament play. Looking at it now, should be a competitive game. We saw what these two, what happened in the playoffs. So give me Luka. Give me a lot of Luka. I think I want to be double the field. So if he's going to be owned, 12 to 15, maybe 30%er.
Yeah. You'd have
he's
to.
Probably the only house guy.
Your exposure to him would come at the sacrifice of somebody else, like a Harden, a Giannis, or somebody like that. But yeah, I'm kind of with you on the game theory. Like
It seems like
some
from
leverage we
yesterday,
had. Like how often does
the Vooch over
Luka
Cat.
right? How often does Luka outscore Harden? Because that's kind of the
25 to 30, like 30%.
I think that's the easiest price comp there. They're basically the same price on both
So I
sides.
think like 30% of the time, maybe 40. Like I think it's a lot because Kyrie's gonna have games where he does a little more and maybe limits Harden, while Luka, sure, Porzingis could, but Porzingis is not Kyrie. So I think Luka probably has more opportunity to reach his ceiling.
What about Luka versus Westbrook?
Westbrook
So,
would
they're
be all-
essentially mirroring prices on both sides. Luka versus Westbrook, not.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think Westbrook at that pace in that game, it screams triple double. It really comes down to how much real points Westbrook. I think he's almost guaranteed a triple double. Just kind of comes down to how much real points he'll need to score with Beal back. So instead of 40, 10, 12, and 10, it might be a 25, 10, and 10 for Westbrook today, which is still like 60.
So Westbrook is the same price as Luka on FanDuel,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I love me some Westbrook. It's interesting that we're having this discussion. I feel like earlier this season it's easily a snap call. So if this game being a 1.5 point spread versus that game being a little bit deeper with a little bit more blowout risk, 8.5 point spread, I think there's a lot of process backing up Luka. Even Harden's in an 8-point game, right, against a slow paced team, and Harden and Westbrook. Maybe even Beal could have higher ownership, so I could get behind a little bit of contrarian Luka. Sure, Porzingis 8-1 on FanDuel, 8-3 on DraftKings. Don't mind that handcuff there. You combine them for 100+ fantasy points. With that, are you forgiven for getting Paul George? Yesterday he burned the world in an elite matchup. Kawhi Leonard's on the south side of Nike on DraftKings. Like I said, there's a pit in my stomach that doesn't trust that both these guys are playing today, just because it's a back-to-back, and we've seen a lot of rest involved with these two guys. But we also saw Kawhi Leonard say last night that they got to be more consistent if they want to be a contender. So maybe a little bit of a get right spot here. Is this just like a super contrarian stat? Like if you put Paul George, Kawhi versus Luka and Porzingis in a lineup, you're already different, but it makes sense different, right? It's not just grabbing names out of the air, and it's collectively cheaper than the Randall versus Harden, Kyrie, or the Beal, Westbrook versus Giannis. There's still a little bit of it's not cheap, but there's still a little bit of a wiggle room left. Where's your feel at on the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi?
No, definitely not tier 1 guys. Paul George has been terrible last game, 40, 47, a couple games before that. I mean, they're not elite plays. Again, if you're making less than 10 lineups, you can fade it. Even at 20, if I get to know Clippers, I don't think I'm too shocked. There's just too many other guys. I feel like I get it. Even in the game 3 play, I feel like there's other guys who'll be lower owned with more upside at their price.
Man, I'm just worried about like someone being out, but there's nothing out there to back that up. It's just man, I don't know, man. If you tell me that Kawhi gets a 50+ fantasy point game at under 9K, like I feel like I'd be a fool to not have a stab at that. So I probably put them both in the tier 3 area, but if I'm trying to make some game theory lineups, I kind of want to get a little bit of that. If you knew right now Serge Ibaka was going to be out, would you do anything extra with Ivica Zubac?
Probably not. If Serge is out, maybe some with Marcus Morris Sr. might get a bump, or even like a Batum might get a slight bump. I'll probably stay with Zubac for at center only, not someone I would get to.
Pacers at the Nuggets. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Pacers: Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert, Justin Holiday, Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner. Taking out Jamal Murray, Will Barton, Michael Porter Jr., Paul Millsap, and Nikola Jokic, a 224 total, 4.5 point spread in favor of the Denver Nuggets. Karis LeVert is the biggest discrepancy in price between both sites today. 4,100 on FanDuel, but 7K on DraftKings. So on FanDuel, he's borderline or lock, and on DraftKings, like you might not even get to him in 100. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's definitely going to make lineups look a lot different on FanDuel than DK. I was worried about a minute restriction in his debut against the Suns. I didn't like the matchup, and I thought that he would be restricted. After main slate locked, it came out that he would not be on a restriction, and he saw 27 minutes in his first game since January 12th. Again, a 7K didn't shake the world up, but considering that was one of the tougher matchups you could ask for, the Phoenix Suns on the road, he still took 14 shots, still stuffed the stat sheet. He might be a free square on FanDuel. He just might. On the Nuggets side here, Jokic is in a super elite smash mega spot. I think centers against the Pacers is one of the more slept on matchups in DFS right now. But also just Jokic is Jokic, and Jokic being at the crib is, this is a recipe for another 60-50 or 60-70 fantasy point game. Last 5 centers against the Pacers, points per minute. DeAndre 8 and 37 fantasy points in 30 minutes. Jokic 45 and 37 minutes, so not a 60 bomb, but still over a fantasy point per minute. Jared Allen 33 and 30. Joel Embiid 50 and 27 minutes. And then there's Damian Jones technically, but it was really Montrezl Harrell that got the bulk of center minutes. He played 30 minutes in that game, 32 minutes in that game, and dropped 34. So it's been well over a point per minute matchup. And Jokic maybe slips through the cracks here based on some of the guys in some of these higher scoring games. So I definitely like a Jokic. FanDuel, I think LeVert will be the highest owned player. And then Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon are interesting. I do think they're kind of priced up if we think Karis LeVert's going to evolve and grow as a decent usage guy. And maybe this team gets a little bit more tough to predict pre-flop at these prices. Especially when TJ Warren comes back. It's going to be a fun team, but it's going to be hard to get them right day to day. Are you good? You scrolling TikTok, buddy? You need
Instagram.
scrolling Instagram.
Yeah.
All right, what are you doing with this game? If I can interrupt your Instagram for a minute.
I mean, I think if you want to get real, different, really kind of take down 100K, I think playing Jokic with Luka. I mean, I think those two guys provide you both, 70-point upside. If those two guys could easily outscore a Giannis Bradley Beal line or a Giannis Westbrook line, maybe a Giannis Harden line. So, again, you mentioned great spot, elite matchup. I mean, we've seen him win tournaments, past 4 games, 53, 62, 45, 74. I mean, I'd say play him. Give me some Jokic here, especially in large field tournaments. Give me Jokic. I don't think I'm getting to any other Denver guys, which is interesting. It's just Jokic for me. I mean, Monte Morris is out, so I mean, maybe that's some minutes for Campazzo. If you want another 3,500 value guy with Magruder and Reggie Bullock, a guy that maybe could get 10x's. One of those guys probably get you 30, maybe 10, 8x their price. It could be a tournament winner. So if you want to keep him in the pool as value guys, don't hate that play either. But Jokic, I think, again, lead spot. And Denver had a lot of guys out. Gary Harris still out. RJ Hampton still out. So, I mean, Jamal Murray would be a tournament click. I'm not comfortable. He just had a terrible run of games. 7-9. Again, with those guards out, maybe he chucks more shots. He hasn't been chucking lately. 15, 14, 13, 17. It's just, I want him to chuck 20-plus shots. He just hasn't been doing that, so probably don't get to him. Indiana side, I mean, like you said, Karis LeVert seems like a free square on FanDuel. I mean, I think you play him. The usage is all there. He was fine last game. Shot 5 for 14. When he gets the legs on him a little more, I mean, he should just smash that FanDuel price if you just want to lock him in. Don't hate it. But DK, I almost think he's impossible to play at 7K. And I think him being there just kind of hurts Sabonis, Brogdon, and their upside. Because he's going to be a high-usage guy as he works in. So, I mean, I probably get to no Pacers.
Are you playing on FanDuel?
Yep.
You're
So just
Pacer.
Karis. Sorry. So yeah, Karis LeVert's the only pacer on FanDuel. On DraftKings, no pacers.
Yeah. All right. I'm not in a disagreement in there. Solid picks. That list. I brought up that list not necessarily to discuss the points scored, but the fact that it was all over a point per minute. So anytime I can key in on a spot where guys are scoring well over a point per minute. Yeah, Jokic only had 45 that last game, but he still took 18 shot attempts. It was 2 assists shy of a triple-double. So you got to be real careful with being too results-oriented.
My bad. My bad. I swear the sound was off. I don't know why he played.
All right. You got to be too careful with being too results-orientated based on recent history. That's why I always say use StatMuse with a grain of salt. But if you wanted to pull up Jokic DKP by game log versus Miles Turner last 10 games, past that 45, we got 56, 50. It's kind of underwhelming, I guess. But 32 minutes, 24 minutes, 30, 34. I don't know. Jokic is Jokic. I'm not really going to overthink Jokic. I don't think I'm going to have him tier 1 exposure. But if we're discussing just tournament game theory, 62, 74, these are actual ranges of outcomes.
Him and Luka, combo could be a winner.
Yeah, and it's more of a ownership game theory play than anything. Solid picks. Obviously, our check boxes and our process is going to put us on Giannis and all those guys first. But if we want to get a little bit different, there's still worlds where Jokic and Luka outscore those guys. So that's all that is. It's not necessarily saying play this guy over the Harden and the Giannis. It's just saying, hey, those guys are probably going to soak up a lot more ownership, and Jokic is in a much closer spread at home, and so is Luka Doncic, and they're going to have just as much usage in fine matchups as the other guys. So just exploring the different possibilities, Let's move on to the next game here. Memphis Grizzlies at the Phoenix Suns. Yuck. Project 35 for the Grizzlies. Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game. How'd they get tickets? Jonas Valanciunas taking on Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Frank Kaminsky, and DeAndre Ayton. We got 227.5 total, 7-point spread in favor of the home team Phoenix Suns. Kind of a yucky game. If I didn't see that the total was almost 230, I would be yeah, I'm not touching this game. Grizzlies and Suns, I'm good. Two meager to low-paced teams. Suns, I think, will rock a bottom 3 pace, if not bottom 1. Third in being slow-paced behind Denver and New York. And then both teams kind of I guess Memphis offensively just kind of weird. I don't know. There's not a lot on this game pre-flop that I'm trusting. You can make cases, I guess, for Ja and J-Val, but I don't think I'm getting to Memphis. I think on this slate, I might just X out the Memphis player pool and hope for the best. On the Suns side, I think Chris Paul is dangerously I don't want to say underpriced, but he's dangerously cheap on FanDuel. Southside is $7K. He does have 40-plus fantasy point potential. Devin Booker, kind of the same song and dance there, and Ayton's coming off a game at 6,300 that we were fine with. So I guess there's some chip and chair pricing on the Suns, but I don't have a high level of infatuation, for lack of a better term, with this game. And if I do grab a couple of late night hammer, spraying prayers, it's probably all Suns. What are you doing with this one?
It's just you just fade this game entirely. 8-game slate, make it a 7-gamer. Phoenix, probably top 5, top 3 defensive team in the league. Memphis is playing a lot of guys, giving them 25 minutes apiece. It just seems like an easy fate of a game to me.
Kind of agree. Chat, if you have any sneaky plays, let me know. Otherwise, we'll take a pause for the cause and let you guys know. We have a month pass giveaway spree thanks to Russell Miller. He bought 10-month passes to give away to you guys. So we've coming up with a couple creative ways to award them. We did a Twitter one. Probably gonna do more, another one or two Twitters, do one on the YouTube channel as well. But the two that we want to spotlight today, one, we're working with PrizePicks. If you guys have yet to try out PrizePicks, you go to PrizePicks. They have a great app. They also have a great website. Sign up using code GUNDACKER, and they will instantly match your initial deposit up to $100. So $10, $20. And then if you do that, if you sign up, just drop $10, test it out. They're going to make that $10, $20, but you'll also be entered into a drawing to win at least one of the month passes that we're giving away. But if enough of you guys do that, I'll gladly give away more. I'm thinking about 1 per 10 people that sign up. So if you guys sign up on PrizePicks using code GUNDACKER, let me know on Twitter. They will send me a list every morning of people that have signed up using code GUNDACKER. And yeah, so that's going to be one of the ways we give away one of those month passes. If you guys haven't played on PrizePicks, it's a pretty cool way to diversify your daily DFS spend. Kind of a prop bet meets parlaying, meets fantasy points game. They will allow you to bet over-unders on fantasy points projected, same scoring as FanDuel, on real points, on rebounds, on assists. And it's not just NBA. They have it for every DFS sport that we play, including esports. So check them out. I have a lot of fun playing over there, and it's fun to reward your research in ways that DFS doesn't always let us do. Like when we know somebody's going to be out, and we know that this guy has a higher usage rate or higher rebound rate. We like that. But if that guy's still 7-8K on the DFS sites, his 30 fantasy points might not mean nothing, but his 13 rebounds might. And you guys can kind of attack that on PrizePicks. I've also talked about how PrizePicks is a little bit slower to adjust lines when news drops. So I like to have PrizePicks tab open. So when somebody gets rolled out, or I can go over there and take advantage of it, because more often than not, that the FanDuel and DK Sportsbooks just straight up pull all those bets offline. So check that out. If you use code GUNDACKER, within the next week, you guys will be entered into a drawing to win at least one of the month passes, if not more. Also, we did get a endorsement from the Sports Battle app. If you guys have that, I believe it's on. They have it on iOS. If you look up in the App Store, Sports Battle, they're going to do kind of the same promotion as PrizePicks. If you guys sign up using code GUN, just GUN, they will instantly match your deposit up to $100. But they will also just give you $10 to sign up using code GUN. So check that out as well. A couple of cool promotions that we've been able to partner with. And then if you guys want to hang out with me after the show, we'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. And anybody who grabs any type of VIP pass within the next week will be eligible to win another month pass that we're giving away. So if you just want to try the bare bones win and gamble on a week pass, $25 gets you in there. Daily spreadsheet access, daily voice chats. 20 people buy a week pass, we'll give away a couple of month passes to some of those people at random. I will probably match some of Russ's sponsored month passes, right? I'm in the giving mood lately. It's been a successful couple of months, so check that out. I will also accept NBA Top Shot moments as payment, so if you guys have that as well, hit me up on Twitter.
Bitcoin too. 1 Bitcoin a membership.
I don't. Yeah, okay. 1 Bitcoin for a day pass. Let's go. Jack Billions. What's up, Jack? Bane at 3,500 on FanDuel, 25 minutes. I don't hate the idea of Bane, but in practicality, when I'm making lineups, I probably would just have a ton of Karis LeVert, and then like a high-end shooting guard. So whether it be like a Paul George or James Harden or somebody like that. But I definitely don't think like Bane's a crazy stab. And if you made a Bane LeVert lineup, that would probably open up some access to some better guys, right? Is that it? Is all the plugs? We're live. All right. Warriors hosting the Los Angeles Lakers. This is your main event tonight. A 224 total, projects 25 for the Lakers. Dennis Schroeder Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, LeBron James, Markieff Morris, Damian Jones taking on Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Draymond Green, and Kevin Looney. 224 total, like we said, 2.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Lakers. More studs available, Raj. This slate is stacked at the high end. Steph Curry versus LeBron James. LeBron and Steph will likely fall through the cracks based on what's available within $500 salary dollars on both sites at their price range. LeBron might have a little less competition based on his position scarcity on FanDuel. If you look at that small forward spot, it's him. And then $1,400 below him, it's Kawhi. And then it's just a bunch of 6K guys. So maybe LeBron's FanDuel ownership gets a little higher than we expect just based on position scarcity. But Steph Curry definitely has competition. Westbrook, Harden, Luka, LaMelo, De'Aaron Fox even. So I think, like Luka, like Jokic, we can kind of make that same case for Steph here to keep this game close. And if he did, does it result in a 50-60 fantasy point game? It's a 224 total, so medium total, but it is one of the tighter spreads via higher total. The 230s, 240 totals are sitting at like 8-point spreads. So maybe some validity in targeting this game for a late night hammer. And then Montrezl Harrell, 5'9" on FanDuel, 6,200 on DraftKings. Raj, I don't know if you caught it, but during the break, Montrezl Harrell put up a kind of like a depressing tweet. And then like
minutes weren't there.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's strictly minutes based or he's just in a weird spot in life. But then Jeannie Buss was like, "We love Montrez." And first game back, Montrez saw 32 minutes without Anthony Davis, without Marc Gasol. Those 30 minutes might be there again. He saw just 11 minutes against Golden State last time out. So there's still some volatility in the projection, but he's definitely a guy that I always love per minute. I want to
wanted to play him.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I want to at least acknowledge that he'll probably be in my player pool. But I will.
Schroeder in that 6K price tag against Golden State. I feel like both those guys could. If like LeBron just kind of if they build maybe a little bit of a lead or they have a cushion. LeBron takes a bit of a step back and just gets you 45, 50. I can see Schroeder at 6'2" and Harrell both getting 35, 40.
Yeah. If they end up going small, like LeBron has to play center against Draymond or something like that, that's also a range of outcomes. I'm with you on Schroeder. Also want to talk about Kyle Kuzma, who saved my butt the other night on what I thought was going to be a bad night. Kyle Kuzma does have a Q tag, but he's probable. 30 minutes against Indiana, shot 8 for 18. That's 18 shot attempts in 2 games straight, or 18 or more shot attempts in 2 games straight. 40-plus fantasy points in 2 games straight. Sacramento, worst defense in the league. Got 20 minutes against Golden State last time. It was a blowout to speak of, right? 30 points, essentially. So maybe that also might be a catalyst for the Montrezl Harrell minutes. But even in that blowout, he got 28 fantasy points. So 6K, Kyle Kuzma could be a nice mid-priced late-night hammer. And he was so low on last slate. I don't know if he'll be low on this slate as a curtain call, but definitely very viable in my book. So I got Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, both sitting around 30 fantasy points based on my minute projections. I'm hoping I can trust Montrezl Harrell minute projection a little bit more, but I'm also hoping that that I can trust this game staying competitive and staying close. And if it did stay close, let's talk about the Warriors a little bit. Steph Curry, where would he rank for you? And then is Andrew Wiggins cheap enough to chip and chair at under 6K? And then I also have 34 minutes on Oubre. And then Draymond Green at 6,500 on DraftKings. And he's coming off a slate yesterday where him and Curry both put up dueling 50-plus fantasy point games. They combined for over 100 fantasy points. I don't think we have to worry about Draymond on a back-to-back. I don't think we do. I don't see it listed as something to watch. Draymond, where are the Warriors at on your plan of attack today?
Draymond triple-double is interesting. He did against Utah, which is a much more elite defensive team than the Lakers.
right now without Anthony Davis. So I think Draymond 6,500. There's definitely upside there. Maybe like a tier 3. Like I want a tier 2 or one, but again, not that comfortable. Like him and Kuzma. I mean, you play them both at 6K and 6,500. I mean, they could combine close to 100. You play both those guys and they both get you 50. You're looking good on this slate. So and the late night hammer too. So I think they're both intriguing at their prices.
How intriguing! Like where?
I think tier 3.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm a sucker for the late night hammer. I am. It's not a thing if you're projecting, but I love having one guy spread across my lineups late. And
Yeah.
I don't know pre-flop how I could set. I don't know where I put Steph Curry's exposure. I probably just cap him at 20% and hope that the opto agree. Like, man, I guess if we had the same price on where's Curry, so we'll plus minus 500. So LeBron, Westbrook, Kyrie. I guess there's at least a common range of outcome that Curry is a top scorer there. I don't know. LeBron versus Curry lineups combined for 100 plus. Sometimes.
Yeah. But you're paying for that. Like you probably need 120 plus. 130.
You are, but it's still cheaper than like Westbrook versus Giannis or Luka versus Jokic.
Yeah.
Or even it's I guess it's about the same as Harden versus Julius Randle. I don't know. Chat, what are you guys doing with this one? Gun, say your favorite name. Bam Adebayo? Is that what you're talking about?
Bam Adebayo.
What's up? Great filibuster going to donate again because my lineup will be invalidated by injury or trash performance. Baseball is on the way. Hollywood. Don't forget Washington, who put up a career game versus Sacramento last time. Yeah, there was some stuff going this way, like no Hayward, right? But I definitely don't I don't hate PJ Washington, but I think just be a little bit more cautious with what his actual median range of outcome is. But anyone against the Sacramento Kings is absolutely in play, especially if you're tagging them for 30 plus minutes. Chat, hot takes, throw them at us, man. Raj, now that we've kind of dissolved each game, and we know that all but one game really for me has slate-breaking potential, at least slate-breaking plays. Even in the Spurs, like if Derek White got ruled out, Dejounte Murray's in the mix. Do you feel settled in? Like, do you feel like you know how you're going to approach the slate now?
I'm going heavy on the Knicks, baby. If the Knicks do well today, we win the money. If they don't, we're moving on to tomorrow.
Projection-wise, before I make some 4 p.m. adjustments, I had Harden, Giannis, Luka, my top 3 projected scorers. And then for value, I got Magruder, Bullock, and then I had Derek White. Sounds like he may not play. And Alec Burks is top 3 value plays. So something to watch as we get a little bit closer to lock. Alex's Wings versus the Mavs, but which one? Kawhi and PG could fall into this is kind of a stacked slate from name value.
It is.
Gamers.
Think about it now. Kuzma and Draymond are really intriguing at their prices. Like they just have so much upside at that 6K price tag.
Our knee-jerk reaction here is to build studs and scrubs because there's so many studs and there's some viable scrubs. Is there a balanced lineup that's even possible if you're talking about?
Give me those 3 Knicks. Put Kuzma and Draymond in there, and you can still fit in some dudes.
So 3 Knicks is Randall.
Give me quickly, Randall, quickly, and RJ Barrett, and put Kuzma and Draymond in there if you can, position-wise. Bang bang! Look at that lineup. Bang bang! Looking like a winner.
What am I doing? I'm blanking here. Kuzma. So 5-3 per. Yeah, I guess there's some balance line. Honestly, with
all those guys could get you 40 plus at the end of the prices. I mean, excluding Randall, who should get you 50.
the other guys at their prices, all 40 plus will be smashes.
Yeah, FanDuel's going to be way, way easier to get studs and scrubs because of Karis LeVert, too. So it's going to be crazy. Solace is still on the Kings Hornets game or not? Yes, I am for sure. I just love teams against the Kings and vice versa, but especially against the Kings. So I probably will just have to batch, 50 to 100 lineups, and I'll just make batches that involve team stacks and kind of get into my baseball bag here and just kind of shuffle some team stacks, because I definitely think there's plenty of that. And I'll probably just leave games that feature these high-priced studs with very, very volatile supplementary plays like the Wizards, and just drop those guys in the bucket as one-offs and just kind of lean on my foundation stack. So it's kind of where we're at there, chat. Chat, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, man. Show some good vibes. And let's check out what tomorrow's schedule is looking like. If I can type, so we can kind of pre-plan a stream here. Tomorrow is 2, 4, 6, 7 games with a 30-minute late lock. So that might mean a 30-minute late start on the stream here. Jazz and Celtics, game number 1. Cavs at the Heat. Hawks at the Rockets. Knicks, Sixers. Thunder, Bulls, Pelicans, Trailblazers, and T-Wolves and Lakers. So Lakers on night 1 of a back-to-back tonight. As are the Knicks. And that's the only one that jumps out at me. So probably a 30-minute later lock tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Central. And tomorrow's the first day of the new Fortnite season, I think. So I might be up early. So yeah, I'll probably go there. Giuliano says, can we roll Rui Hachimura again? I just know just know Rui had that game because there was no Bertans and no Bradley Beal. Somebody had to step up, and the Blasian was the guy that decided that he was going to do it. I'm not saying no, you can't absolutely touch him, because if Bertans is out, I still think there's a role in a world where he takes double-digit shot attempts. But the rebounds was a little bit on the anomalaic side if you look at his season venture this so far. And then, of course, 11 for 18, definitely a little bit on the anomalaic side as well. So 5,900, if you think you're gambling on the 30, possibly, but I may not have any, so I don't want to get you off it if you got that feeling in your bad knee. But yeah, there was a lot going Rui's way last time out, so I'm probably not going to be there. But I don't want you to feel like he's off the board in a 242 total as a guy with the third highest projected minutes. I don't have a high level of confidence there. Anyway. Twitter.com/Gundacker if you guys got anything else for me. Otherwise, I think that's going to do it. I appreciate you guys, as always, making part of my day be part of your day. And I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP voice chat in about 25 minutes. So if you guys want to be part of that, go to RunDFS.com. Get signed up. Any Viper subscription will be eligible to win a month pass in addition to what they already have. Baseball's in 2 weeks. We're going to have a lot of fun. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.